Thank you, Reshman. Good evening, everybody. On the night that Leeds United have been promoted to the top flight of English football, West Ham and Watford are desperate to stay there. It may be FA Cup semi-final weekend, but it's a cup final tonight at the London Stadium. Never once in the 28 seasons of the Premier League has a team going into the final two games 6 points clear of the drop zone ever been relegated. That is the carrot being dangled in front of 16th placed West Ham and 17th placed Watford tonight. Both have picked up form after a rough start to restart. West Ham have taken 7 points in July. Watford have picked up more points in the last two games than in their previous 10 matches. Here are the two teams, one change for each. Fabianski is the West Ham goalkeeper. Johnson comes in at right back for Fredericks. Ogbonna, Diop and Cresswell, the back four. Souček and Rice in midfield. Bowen, Noble and Fornals behind Antonio, who's in terrific form. Watford cleverly comes in for the injured Capoue. He's got a hamstring problem. Foster is their goalkeeper. Femenia, Kabasele, Dawson and Messina, the back four, Cleverley and Hughes. Then Sarr, Decore and Welbeck behind Deeney in attack. We are set. We are ready. We are about to get underway in the big game of the night in the Premier League. And prior to kick-off, a very good evening to you wherever you are from a sunlit London Stadium. A gorgeous summer's evening on a weekend that will change and define the course of the season. Leeds have been promoted back to the Premier League. The FA Cup final line-up will be decided. Bournemouth may well end up being relegated. Whatever the narrative is, whatever the news, TalkSport will be with you every step of the way. Because football, we love it, don't we? Your weekend is starting here with live and exclusive national radio commentary from the big game of the night. West Ham and Watford live on TalkSport. David Conley, who started the championship for West Ham and began life at Watford. A draw just keeps the nerves jangling, doesn't it? And Watford immediately showing their intention by thrusting the ball forward, not quite getting it right, but showing that they are out for taking the handbrake off.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Dawson with just a helpful lob. It actually bounced in the box. Sarr came in off that right-hand side. Just his first touch got away from him, but, you know, Sarr's been absolutely superb. I mean, there's a lot of players out on show here tonight in really good form. Obviously, for West Ham, Antonio, Souček grabbed the eye immediately. Sarr for the Hornets. Obviously, Capoue's out, but Decore's been outstanding as well.
The ball is on the halfway line, and the home team, West Ham United, in claret and blue shirts. The top half is blue, the bottom half claret, the shorts claret, and so are the socks. They're attacking the goal away to our right. It's yellow and black half jerseys for Watford, black shorts, and they're attacking the goal away to our left. It's on the right side with Kiko Femenia, and he plays the ball low across the floor to Will Hughes. Hughes guiding it all the way back to Kabasele, who's incredibly important for Watford. The number of goals they can see when he is in the team is significantly fewer than when he is absent. Dawson kicks it long. Deeney, who's won more headers than any other Premier League player since Nigel Pearson took charge of the Watford team, wins another one but can't glance it on to a teammate, and it goes out towards the far side. Here comes Antonio trying to get the better of Kabasele. Good tackle by him, holds off Antonio momentarily, but Antonio rescues it, runs down towards the byline, goes over the byline, takes the ball behind, and it's away for a goal kick away to our right. Interesting, straight away I've noticed that Decore slightly deeper and Cleverly is playing a little bit more advanced, as we thought that might be the case.
Yeah, as a 10, but you just saw Antonio in a nutshell there. I mean, that ball was basically looked like it was Kabasele's, but he made something out of nothing, got to the byline, tried to drive into the box, but it just went off the pitch. Really excited to see Mikel here. And as you mentioned, Deeney already, he's won, but every time the ball's gone up to him, he's won the flick on, every time. So I think the two centre-halves, Diop and Ogbonna, they're certainly in for a different sort of occasion, different game than certainly against Norwich, that's for sure.
West Ham and Watford know that a win will take them 6 points clear of Bournemouth and Aston Villa, and that is significant for the reasons that I outlined at the beginning of the commentary. But this is 2020, a year that has altered our view on exactly what is unthinkable and plausible. Here on the left-hand side, West Ham coming forward. It's kicked down into the penalty area over the head of everybody who's attacking it, and it comes out to the right-hand side, retrieved by Souček. On to Ben Johnson, tries to cross into the centre, and making his first appearance in West Ham colours in the Premier League since February 2019. Cannons in against the feet of Danny Welbeck, and it's out for a throw on this near side, which Antonio wants to take. And it's always interesting when you see Antonio take the throws from this sort of area, an attacking throw deep inside opposition territory.
Absolutely.
Because he's the weapon in the box usually.
He is, but he's obviously got that weapon that he can launch the ball on the 6-yard box. So Bonner's gone in there. He's just marked by Dawson. This is always going to go short.
And it's onto Johnson, who doesn't control it particularly well, and then bumps into Cleverley, who wins a free kick, generates it quickly and sends it long quickly down to the left-hand side, and a chance for a counter-attack for Deeney onto Sarr, who darts in from the left side. Welbeck is joining here. The ball from Sarr wasn't pinpoint, and West Ham come across and manage to clear it with Cresswell being alert from the left full-back position to come in and cover and help his defenders.
Well, I just don't understand why Antonio didn't launch that into the box. I mean, it's madness, you know, especially after the victory last week. You think, right, get on the front foot, put Watford on the back foot, launch it into the 6-yard area. We have seen that Watford can't defend at times balls in the box. Instead, takes it short, throws it to Johnson on his left peg, comes off his left peg. If you're going to throw it short, give it to Johnson on his right. You know, he's just in the game, you know, make him feel good.
Here is Jared Bowen trying to get in behind Adam Messina, and it was a good angle ball out from that left-hand side, and a thumbs up from Jared Bowen as West Ham come on the attack. There's Cresswell over on that left-hand side. He's floated the ball long and high out towards this near touchline. It was brought down just at the feet of Bowen, but he couldn't get it under control. It skipped between his legs and went behind and away for a goal kick away to our right. If you're just joining us and you've got in your car after coming back from work or doing some other socially distant activity, Leeds have been promoted tonight to the Premier League after West Brom lost to Huddersfield. It means that Brentford, who have won their last 8 and play Stoke on TalkSport 2 tomorrow and Barnsley on Wednesday, can also join Leeds in the Premier League if they beat the results that West Brom have got from now on in. It's an unbelievable turn of events at the end of a season where Leeds and West Brom seem to be running away with it at the top of the division. Leeds are promoted. That's the big story tonight, but Brentford might be able to make another big tale in the next few weeks. 5 minutes gone here at the London Stadium, and it's West Ham United 0, Watford 0 on a pivotal night in the Premier League. Here's Antonio into the penalty area, played in by Fornals. Low ball underneath the legs of the goalkeeper and straight into the net, and it's an early lead for West Ham United. A fantastic finish for the man in form, Mikel Antonio. He may be out of position, but you can understand why when in need of help David Moyes cracked out this emergency hammer. Since lockdown, nobody has scored more goals since the restart than awesome Antonio. If the Hammers stay up, which seems likely, they will know who to thank. That's a terrific finish under the goalkeeper. 7 minutes gone, West Ham United 0, Watford. West Ham United 1, Watford 0.
Yeah, and it's brilliant from Antonio, because you know what it is? It's instinctive, and this is learned now, playing in that lone striker role. He's going away from goal, running on the diagonal, first time finishes, laces it really hard with his left peg, goes in between the goalkeeper's legs. But I tell you what, the pass from Fornals, it might have taken a little nick off a Watford player, but that actually sets him free. Wonderful invention from Fornals.
It's an excellent finish by Antonio. It's his 9th of the season. 5 years at West Ham now. He's got more goals after the restart than Raheem Sterling now. It's a terrific finish under the goalkeeper, through the legs of Ben Foster. And Nigel Pearson's got more thinking to do. Here is Antonio down the right-hand side. Under pressure from Dawson. What could Watford have done better as far as their defence is concerned?
Well, I mean, look, they didn't clear their lines there. That was the issue. I mean, Messina tried to get the ball, tried to launch it up top. Bowen closed it down. Again, good high press, good energy from West Ham. Then it broke to Souček. Little ball across the park. I don't think really you can pick that many holes in Watford. It's just a start from West Ham here.
Here's Hughes, midway inside the centre circle. Plays it forward to Deeney. Circulates it wide. Collected by Kiko Femenia, who runs on the outside of Cresswell, produces a cross in towards the near post and takes a deflection and goes behind and away for the first Watford corner of the evening. West Ham 1, Watford 0. You're listening to TalkSport. David Connolly and Sam Butterface at the London Stadium on a sweltering night in East London, and the heat is on Watford. Perfect start for West Ham United. Mikel Antonio scoring after just 7 minutes.
They've got a big side, haven't they, Watford, here in these set pieces. Hughes with the in-swing up. This is where they are a threat.
Short in from Hughes towards Sarr. Returns it to Hughes, and then crossing to the centre wasn't particularly great. There's a stray high boot there from Tom Cleverley into the face of Jared Bowen, and there's going to be a card out here for the former Manchester United man.
He was never going to catch Bowen. He was just going to race away. Again, good pressing from Bowen. I think that's why the West Ham fans really think he's been a great addition, and he has. There he is, all his endeavour, enthusiasm, just gets there ahead of Cleverley, heads it just as he's about to get a little nick in the face, and Cleverley just follows through. That's a painful one.
Right under the chin of Jared Bowen, just flicking his right foot into the air. He's apologised for that, Tom Cleverley, but he's picked up a yellow card as a result of it. Hasn't had too much football recently. That midfield two of Hughes and Capoue has been the go-to pairing for Nigel Pearson ever since he pushed Abdoulaye Doucouré a little bit further on into a number 10 position. He's adapted tonight and dropped further back. Cleverley's come into that number 10 role because of the injury to Etienne Capoue. Could be a big miss. Here's Ben Johnson down the right side for West Ham, moving it on to Jared Bowen. His cross left-footed towards the far post. Oh, it's a flying header into the net. It's a brilliant goal. Thomas Souček arriving late into the box. A brilliant cross from the West Ham United right from Jared Bowen, and flying in to nod past Ben Foster was the on-loan Czech star Thomas Souček. It's West Ham United 2, Watford 0, and Watford defensively all over the place.
Oh, what a start from West Ham here. Johnson just gives the ball out wide of Bowen. He's on the right side. He's always looking to come infield and just drift that in-swinger. But there's Souček, as he's done so often for the Hammers of late. Makes a terrific late run into the box. Gets up above Kabasele and Firmino. Great endeavour there. Just guides it. Little flicked glance header. Foster didn't move. Plants it into the far corner. What a start here for the Hammers.
It's fantastic, isn't it? Absolutely sensational. It's 3 goals in 5 games for Thomas Souček. It's an unbelievable start. I mean, you couldn't have asked for more. If you're a West Ham United fan and you're listening to this tonight, I mean, if you could design the first 10 minutes of the game, you wouldn't have been able to write this.
No, that's right. And what they have to do now is keep the tempo up, keep the pressure up, you know, because they've started so well. Don't sit back 2-0, as we've seen, like at Bournemouth, you know, for example, Leicester 1-0 up. 2-0 up isn't a winning scoreline either. Certainly not this early. Keep going. Get another one when you're on top. Kill this game.
And the way it's going at the moment, I mean, if it gets much worse for Watford, I mean, and they've got to play Manchester City, remember, the Bournemouth fans will start getting excited. Here's Sarr down the right-hand side, a low ball in towards the near post. It takes a little flick off the retreating Albona, and into the arms it goes to Lucas Fabianski away to our left-hand side. West Ham United 2, Watford 0. You're listening to TalkSport on a Friday night game day kick-off, bringing you the biggest match, I think, of the weekend in the Premier League, between two teams that are fighting against relegation, desperate to stay in the top flight of English football. West Ham really haven't been playing too badly, and certainly have looked more effective after the Chelsea game, which I think was a bit of a turning point, could end up being the turning point of what had hitherto been a disappointing season. They certainly have turned it on here.
Well, I think some of these players that are now banging in the goals and being involved in them, Bowen, for example, young, hungry, come from the Championship. You know, you've got Souček, you know, young, hungry, maybe he's not on massive money, and I think that's certainly the way that Moyes wants to go, and I think the West Ham owners will be delighted with that as well.
Well, they have an option to buy him at the end of the season for £13 million, Thomas Souček.
Well, they better take that up quick.
That sounds like a bit of a snip to me. Here's Sarr down the right-hand side. He's in behind Cresswell into the area, shoots low, saved by Fabianski, comes back to Cleverley for Watford on the edge of the penalty area. His shot is deflected away by Ogbonna, and then it's picked up by Noble. His 500th appearance for West Ham sends it long to Antonio. Antonio sends it out towards this near side, and West Ham are on the advance once again. Jared Bowen's got it, but they've just survived a brief scare there, the Hammers. The ball is circulated to the left, collected, played infield to Fornals, and then back again via Noble into Declan Rice, and West Ham just slow proceedings down after what was quite a helter-skelter 30 seconds or so. Here is Bowen drifting into the central portion of the West Ham attack, tries to take it into his feet, goes between them, straight through to the goalkeeper away to our right-hand side. Big chance for Watford.
Yeah, it was. I mean, that's that side I was saying before the start of the show about Sarr. He's such a threat on the right, gets in behind Cresswell, good low strike. Fabianski though stays up, just kicks it away with his feet, has a little look at the near post, has the ball coming in, a perfect position.
13 minutes into the game, and well, the handbrakes are definitely off, aren't they? And Watford have picked up 2 wins in a week, another major spike in a rather sporadic campaign. Their away form has been absolutely dreadful. They've lost the last 4 without scoring.
I mean, what a Souček giveaway. You just can't. it's hard to measure, really. I mean, even we were talking off air, weren't we, the goals he scored, but the goals that he's nearly scored, you know, coming off bars and posts, and he's obviously rescued maybe at late little interceptions and tackles, but his runs in the box have been absolutely fantastic.
Seems a good find.
Great recruitment, which you can't always say about West Ham, to be honest.
Rice plays the ball out wide. Fornals takes it on for West Ham United. Back into Rice, who's got a lot of space inside the Watford half. He's in the dead centre of it. Plays it wide towards the right now. Taken on by Bowen, who tries to curl a shot in towards goal. It hits the body of Dawson. Dawson is bellowing at Messina for not getting close to him. That was a problem when Bowen was allowed to come in on his left foot and produce the cross for the Souček goal.
Well, look, it's you know what you're up against. Whoever plays on this right hand side, whether it's Yarmolenko or whoever or Bowen, you know they're going to come in on their left peg. You know, you've got to try and keep them going down the line.
2 goals for West Ham in the opening 10 minutes of this game have certainly given Nigel Pearson more than just a little bit to think about. Up towards the halfway line, Deeney tries to hold off Diop. It goes out of play and away in front of the West Ham technical area. No one's been able to really pause for breath. In the opening 15 minutes here, West Ham United started with a rush on Watford's goal. They lead by 2-0. Half of Watford's wins this season have come against current members of the bottom 3 when they play anybody who's half decent. Liverpool maybe the exception to this rule. They've tended to wilt slightly. There was that period over December where they stood up to be counted straight after Nigel Pearson had been appointed, but apart from that, it's been quite a barren season for Watford supporters. Here's Hughes down the right-hand side looking for Sarr, looking to get in between defender and goalkeeper. The offside flag is up over on the far side. Sarr went down after a touch from Fabianski. He looked to be escaping from him, but maybe Fabianski had noticed that the flag was already up over on the far side.
It was a lovely weighted ball from Will Hughes, just with his left peg, but Sarr just slightly, it's not a lot in it, just slightly offside. Fabianski, I think, might have just made contact with Sarr, so he's a lucky boy there that was offside.
So just getting his body in between man and ball, and they're looking at it on VAR to see if he was offside when the ball was played. If he is, there will not be a penalty. And they are checking to see whether or not there was an infringement. It does look to me as if he is offside. They are checking this possible penalty with VAR back in Stockley Park. Referee Martin Atkinson just talking to VAR Stuart Atwell. They're measuring out the offside lines. It's very tight, this. I think they're going to play on and say no penalty. Offside is given, as was the original decision. It's difficult, that, isn't it? Because the linesman did bring his flag up. If that had gone the other way and a penalty had been given, would Fabianski have a case to say, well, hold on a second, I reacted because I know the flag had gone up?
Yeah, I guess he would. But he's got away with it there because he did make contact. Look, although he pulled his hands away, there was a little bit of contact. He counted himself lucky because Sarr was going nowhere. He was just running away from goal.
West Ham 2, Watford 0 on Talk Sport.
But again, Sarr's been such a threat, isn't he, for Watford?
Yeah.
I know that. I thought maybe, I don't know, Masuaku might get the nod because he might have more pace to deal with him. As it is, he didn't really want to disrupt that back four more, so he's gone with Creswell.
And you are listening to West Ham against Watford on TalkSport with the next generation Nissan Duke. Together, let's move beyond. 17 minutes gone. Remember, tomorrow we've got more live commentaries for you, and how significant could this be on TalkSport 2 at 12:30. Stoke against Brentford in the Championship, with Brentford looking to go into the automatic places. We're around the grounds with the peerless Adrian Durham at 2 o'clock on TalkSport. Hull, Luton, Middlesbrough, Cardiff, Queen's Park Rangers against Millwall, the fastest goal service on the radio. And then both FA Cup semi-finals this weekend. West Ham coming forward in what is pretty much a cup final here at the London Stadium, looking to try and construct.
They're playing like it's a cup final, aren't they? You can say that about West Ham. That's how they've started. You wouldn't say that about Watford. Look, Nigel Pearson, he hasn't sat down yet. That's probably because, the seats are taxi around the way. The bench
is in Westfield.
Yeah, but still, obviously he won't be happy. He'll be very unhappy with this start because, looking at their fixture, as I said, the Rushman at the start, got very tough games, and if they think they can just write this one off and get something out of those other two, could be misplaced.
All cleared by Ben Foster. Well, they're not going to get much out of the next one, you wouldn't have thought. No. They've got Manchester City at home. Watford.
What was that, 8-0 in September?
I think the aggregate score of the last 2 games between the two clubs is 14-0. Yeah, not helpful. A ball out of play over on the far side from West Ham United, leading by 2-0. You're listening to Talk Sport.
And the thing is, you look at that team that started, Sam, there aren't that many alternatives that he's got on the bench that you think would come on and really make a difference. You know, that starting 11 is his favoured 11. And, you know, numbers 12 and 13, 14 aren't really going to do it for him. You know, Gray's barely been in the side, and Pereira, difficult.
It's a terrific start by West Ham, and they were dropping fast after the restart. I saw them at Tottenham Hotspur where they had 1 or 2 chances, didn't take them, and then got a couple of sucker punches in that game. They weren't particularly happy with their performance at Newcastle United, which they gave away goals in rather scrappy circumstances, but that win against Chelsea really did give them a spark, especially for the home matches, although they went away at Norwich at the weekend and won handsomely, and they've improved as a result of that. David Moyes will be proud of the start they've made to this game. Here on the far side is Cresswell, bounding over the halfway line to Fornals. He plays it back out to the left. It's picked up by Noble, back to Cresswell again, just overhit by Cresswell. It goes out of play, and midway inside the Watford half, it's out for a throw-in over on the far side in front of what is the Billy Bond stand, decorated on the bottom tier with huge banners of "Come On You Ryans" and the West Ham United crest. There's 2 huge mosaics of fans that have been sent in and melded into a Hammers motif, which are either side of the halfway line. Clubs have done very well in decorating their stadiums, and this is one of them. Here's Deeney, edge of the penalty area, skipping past one challenge, past Rice, into the edge of the box, plays it wide to Sarr. Sarr for Watford, producing across to Welbeck at the far post, a little bit too heavy, and then it comes through to Messina, who was far too aggressive when challenging with Bowen, and it's going to be a free kick on the right angle of the penalty area, deep inside West Ham territory.
Well, that was a little bit better from Watford, you know, well constructed move. Deeney showed good strength on the edge of the box, fed it out wide to Sarr. Then I think he's got to go over the low ball in the box there. Instead, he dinks it up a little bit too high, put too much on it to the back post, and it's really opportunity missed. And West Ham here, certainly the 2 fullbacks, look, when you're making your, I guess not your debut, when you're making your second start of the season, as Johnson is, what a way as a youngster, and your team are 2-0 up, you can really relax now, maybe pressure's off slightly.
Goal kick taken by Fabianski, kick long over the halfway line out towards the far side. It drifts out of play, and Messina will leave that for Femenia. Femenia throws it into Hughes, back to Femenia. He comes back infield to Doucouré. Doucouré at the base of the midfield today, down to Dawson, who scored a spectacular goal in the match against Leicester at Vicarage Road, first match that they played after the restart, and it was what I suppose at the time Nigel Pearson felt was a significant moment, but haven't really gone on from there. West Ham United 2, Watford 0. You're listening to Talk Sport. By the way, you can listen to this game without the added enhanced audio which we provide for you on our website, which is talksport.com. Here on the right side, the ball is with Sarr, out to the far touchline. Femenia back infield to Doucouré. Now it's on to Hughes. Hughes further down the left, a step or so infield from Messina. He produces a cross deep to the far post, but it's sailing over the head of everybody and behind over Fabianski, and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. There's not much doubt that Watford missed the invention of Deulofeu, and they have had injuries over the course of the season. We were there and that game against Liverpool where all the noise was about a terrific victory, but they lost something when they lost him.
Yes.
But he's not the only reason they found themselves in this predicament, is he? Because they were struggling beforehand. They had just that brief revival in the midwinter, but apart from that, it's been a very sorry tale.
It has. I mean, just looking at who else have they got, you know, Jan Maat, success. It hasn't really been a success.
Well, he's had injuries as well.
He's had injuries, and then you look at that delivery from Messina. He's gone for a first-time cross, which is so difficult, even if you're in the best of form, and he blazes it high, miles over the bar, and just settle yourself down. Take a touch on the ball, really try and put it into a good area, like Bowen did, you know. Instead, 2 crosses now from Watford, wildly over here, and you don't really have a chance to score from. That's the quality, you know, the little details, the fine, I wouldn't even call them fine margins, they're the basics about giving yourself an opportunity to score.
You mentioned about the bench and there not being enough on there for Nigel Pearson to be able to turn to. In other circumstances, if he did have better resources on that bench, maybe after the first 25 minutes of this game he might make, because he's got the ability to make 5 substitutions, and because this game is as significant as it is, he might have rolled the dice.
Yeah, that's right. But looking at him, certainly West Ham, look at their bench, it looks much stronger. Plethora of options to come in, attacking wise. Certainly if they needed a goal, Yarmolenko, Felipe Anderson, Lanzini, Allaire, Wilshere, even Masuaku bombing forward. They've got the drinks breaks now, and this is certainly time for Nigel Pearson to get his men in. There's Craig Shakespeare just trying to rouse them, get them in, because that is so disappointing.
Well, the first quarter is over, and there's a drinks break which is taking place down in front of us. It's worth pointing out that tonight from 10 o'clock we'll have, or just after we finish here, about 10:15, we'll have the Sports Bar Northern Quarter with Adam Catterall and Mickey Gray, and they'll be taking your calls. They'll be taking your calls if you're a Watford fan. They'll be taking your calls if you're a West Ham fan. Going to take your calls if you're a Leeds fan tonight. 08717 22 33 44 is the number to call. You can get in touch with the boys on the Sports Bar, the Northern Quarter. Tonight from 10, going to be a cracking night of reaction to what has been a fantastic day for Leeds, a good day for Brentford, and a very good start to the game for West Ham United here. We've seen the goals again, and West Ham will be pretty pleased with their construction. I keep looking at the Watford defence and thinking they should have done better, David.
Yeah, but you've got to take your hat off sometimes to the opponents, and whether that finish from Mikel Antonio is now sort of in his DNA, his makeup, instinctive, left peg, really solid ankle, just try to get a good connection on it, going away from goal first time, brilliant. And obviously when ball's coming in the box, you've got to block and track. Nobody blocks and tracks Souček, and out of all the West Ham midfielders, they would have seen obviously and watched video of Souček making late runs in the box. No one takes him, and he's just it's a really good finish, but terrible start from the Hornets.
25 minutes gone in the game. West Ham lead by 2-0 on TalkSport. It's sprayed by Declan Rice out towards the far side, collected by Antonio. Antonio tries to get the better of Kabasele, who falls to the ground under pressure, and it goes out of play and away for a free kick given against Mikel Antonio, who has 9 goals for the season now. West Ham won't be popping out the champagne corks just yet. Their supporters know all too well how fallible they can be after taking the lead. They've surrendered 24 points from winning positions this season, which is more than anyone else in the Premier League. So no excitement just yet. These drinks breaks sometimes can be used as tactical breaks, and a lot of managers have done that. David, what would Nigel Pearson have been saying in that little huddle that he got together during the drinks break? Well,
I think, they got to Newcastle, didn't they, at half-time, down, obviously, and I think he had a really important team talk. They were down against Norwich as well. It's probably, we have been down before and come back and won. This time, I guess, it's a bit of a bigger mountain.
Yeah. Well, it's huge, isn't it? 2-0 down at this stage of the game. Great start for David Moyes, who will be delighted with the response of his team. West Ham lead by 2-0, goals from Antonio and Souček. The ball is halfway inside the Watford half of the field over on the far side. I think a stray bottle might have come onto the pitch. How does that happen with a crowd around? Thrown in. Well, the ball was first of all, the bottle was thrown away by Ben Foster. Then the ball was thrown in from that far touchline towards Antonio. It went straight out of play again, and it's away for a throw-in over on the far side for Watford, who need to find a way of raising themselves and getting back into this game, because currently they're giving themselves a huge problem. And the problem doesn't just end at the end of this match. Losing here, with the games that they've still got to go, will give great encouragement to Bournemouth. Here's Sarr, though, coming forward for Watford, out to Messina. His cross headed away. Stooping was Diop to head it clear. It comes back into the area, headed on by Deeney, out towards the right, flicked in by Cleverley. Was there a handball inside the area? Referee says no, glances, looks at his watch, and then looks up at Antonio over on the far side, and he seems to have been fouled, and he's going to give that rather than any sort of penalty for Watford. There is a head injury for Aaron Cresswell over on the far touchline, and that will need to be administered. But as Tom Cleverley strikes the ball here, did that hit the arm of Ogbonna? I wonder whether VAR will look at that,
I don't know. His arms, is it in
it's a bit too close.
I think it is too close, and it hasn't. Well, it motioned. To be honest, it motioned down a little bit.
It went a little bit out, didn't it?
Yeah. Bit like
if that was in a European competition, that would have been a penalty kick.
Well, this is interesting. I just wonder what Cresswell is struggling here. Maybe did he feel something? Did he get an elbow in the face? Yeah, maybe he got an elbow in the face from Sarr. Yeah, just from the throw-in.
Cracked across the side of the cheek. There's a possible red card being checked here by VAR for for violent conduct.
No, that's never been a red card.
Well,
he's just got his arms to, gain a bit of leverage there, Sarr, from the throw. Seems to have caught Creswell. But I don't think David Moyes, certainly since the 2 goals, at Watford, you've got to say, have come back into it, apart from their quality in the final third, which hasn't been great, with their balls in the box. Apart from that, I think Moyes will be a little bit disappointed. Look, come on, we need to keep the ball. They've lost possession a few times, haven't had the same care. Just giving possession back to Watford and, just allow them to build a couple of attacks.
VAR have finished their check. No red card is the result. He's still getting treatment from 2 physios in PPE who have come darting onto the field of play. They're about 7 or 8 yards in from the left touchline as West Ham United look at it. His nose is being pinched together. I think there might well be a bit of an issue there for Aaron Cresswell, although he seems to be okay in himself. I think it just needs to be patched up and he'll be back on again. But at the moment, West Ham down to 10 men whilst they wait for that to be sorted. It's West Ham 2, Watford 0. Jared Bowen, who created the second of the goals, comes down the right hand side now. He dances towards the byline. Before he crosses, it's blocked by Messina and it flicks out of play and away for a corner to West Ham. It's their first corner of the game.
Well, good play from Bowen, because I think Messina was trying to show him down the line this time. Got much tighter, say, go on then, try and run me. The thing is, Bowen is quick, knocked it past him, got to the byline, used his right peg, it's gone out for a corner. As we saw against Chelsea, West Ham are a real threat. What will they do with Souček here? They've got to mark him really closely here, Watford.
Here's the corner, taken short by Bowen to Noble, wants it back again, gets it back again, right-footed from inside the penalty area, slides it through the box, it's behind everybody, cleared away by Cleverley, comes back to Cresswell, looks to recycle it, Bowen's in an offside position, it's going to flow straight out of play, down in front of us, and it's away for a throw-in in the left full-back position. You're listening to West Ham versus Watford on TalkSport, and don't forget you can watch this game, West Ham against Watford, live right now with an Now TV Sky Sports Pass from just $9.99. Search Now TV Sports, and West Ham are 2-0 up.
Well, they are, but I think, look, a couple of times now, Sam, with the throw from Antonio, he took it short. With the corner, he took it short. Why would they take things short? Is it because, Watford are big, so they go away from doing what they do best, West Ham, rather than just putting it in the box? Just put it in the box. That's what you're good at. You've had good success against sides. Don't overthink it just because Watford are big, that we've got to change our game and, try and work an opening. A couple of times it's broken down. Just go back to doing what you do best.
Karen Brady and Paul Pesky-Solido are here tonight. In one of the boxes.
Isn't it Pescalido? Oh. I know you're one for pronunciation, Sam. Is it
Solido?
Pesky-Solido, not Pescalido.
Not Pesky-Solido.
Oh.
No. Thank you though for just making sure. I do like to be
correct.
Tested. It's good. 31 minutes gone. You're listening to TalkSport. West Ham 2, Watford 0. David Connolly and Sam Matterface in the commentary box as Sarr races away down the left-hand side for Watford. Gets in behind Ogbonna. He's through on goal. Good tackle by Ogbonna, who did just enough to put him off. Sarr smashes the ground with his fist in frustration. Another good chance for Watford. They've had 1 or 2 in this first half.
Yeah, and that's just a little ball helped over the top from Cleverley, because he knows Sarr has got the speed to get away. Certainly from all that back four. It's not the quickest, certainly not. And look, Deeney, he's not going to run away from you. Welbeck necessarily isn't going to run away from you, but Sarr certainly will.
Well, West Ham United lead by 2-0, but ever since they scored their second goal, they haven't been as attack-minded, and they have surrendered 1 or 2 opportunities. Watford maybe might take a little bit of encouragement from that. Might help with the West Ham nerves, especially with that statistic about losing leads I spoke to you about. Ball into the box from the left side by the returned Cresswell. They're back to their full complement now, West Ham United. The ball is over on the far touchline. It's taken on by Femenia, who runs infield and plays it square, and it's loose and it's given away to Jared Bowen. He's turned it over quickly, and the West Ham man bounds forward, runs up to the edge of the area, tries to dance his way past Dawson, goes out to the far side. He's done well to hold this up, waiting for some reinforcements. It's back to Ben Johnson. Johnson then holds on, waits, plays it down the right. Noble makes a break, produces a cross into the centre, not the best, easily fielded by Dawson and cleared away by Femenia, who initially gave the ball away and invited the West Ham attack. Went by Messina, upfield towards Deeney. It's headed away by Diop. Deeney frustrated. hurt, angry, screams at Messina for not being more accurate. Fornals comes forward for West Ham, who lead by 2-0 on TalkSport. It's in by Souček, square to Noble, back to Diop to Bonner. West Ham maybe just want to stamp a little bit of authority on the game by just holding on to the ball for a few moments, David.
Well, it's easy to do because they're just not being closed down quickly enough from Watford. I think as well for the goals, they're a bit deep in their box. They need to squeeze the play, get up the pitch. I look at the two centre-halves now, a bit slow getting up. There's Kabasele.
Where's the urgency to press up and move up as a line? It's not that no one seems to be in control of it, do they?
I mean, just saw Dawson there was about 5 yards ahead of Kabasele, who's too slow to get up. You know, and when obviously Bowen ducks back in on his left peg for Souček's goal, that's when your defence has got to get up. You've got to squeeze out the box. That's why Souček scores from 5 yards out, basically. You're just too deep, sat in your box.
Given away by Watford once again, this time Doucouré being harassed by West Ham, who've just had a little bit more about them in the opening 34 minutes of the game and have taken their chances after a blistering start. They lead by 2-0. It's not been perfect from West Ham United, and I'm sure that their supporters will be nervously following proceedings, wondering whether or not they can keep a clean sheet, a rare clean sheet. Yeah, they kept one against Norwich, but in games that matter like this, it's always a little bit more difficult.
We just saw Johnson there with a big switch of play, lost possession. I think Moyes would certainly want him to just settle down a little bit. Lovely
from Antonio, turning beautifully, balletically on the halfway line, sends it out towards the left. Fornals continues into the area. His cross takes a looping deflection and it goes behind and away for a corner kick. There's a yellow card for Will Hughes for an infringement just prior to that move, which led to the counter-attack, and that was on Mark Noble, who was inside his own half. The ball then released upfield to Antonio. Lovely little spin by him.
Yeah, I mean, that's where his game has really come on. Intricate now with his feet. He can move it, shift it, by a yard, and terrific little through ball.
West Ham taking their time over going to get back the ball from behind the goal. The claret carpet behind the Watford goal has two plinths on which sanitised balls are placed. One is collected from that far side and then sent in towards the near post, headed away by Rice from the delivery over on that far touchline from Noble. Comes back to Fornals, back to Noble again, shifts it on to his right, then goes back out to take on Femenia, plays it to Rice. Rice strikes from distance towards the far corner. It's a terrific goal. It's an absolute thunderbolt from Declan Rice that might just secure safety for West Ham United. There ain't going to be an EastEnders cliffhanger this season. 10 minutes to go before half-time. West Ham have blitzed Watford. They're 3-0 up, and it's a humdinger from Declan Rice.
Right, it's a great goal. 3-0, game over, 3 points for the Hammers. They work it short from the corner. There's Noble, takes his time, he thinks, right, do I deliver? No, I can just see a wall of Hornets in front of me, wall of yellow, sets it back to Declan Rice, takes one touch out of his feet, he's on the corner of the box, he knows what he's thinking, I'll just start this out wide, bend it into that far corner, Foster doesn't move. Again, it's another really good goal, but again, they don't get out and close the ball down. Too often you can say that about Watford, haven't closed the ball down quickly enough, they've been punished.
Declan Rice charges down the touchline. He runs up to David Moyes. They embrace with smiles as wide as the Olympic Stadium. It's a terrific first 35 minutes for West Ham United. One that surely now will secure all 3 points and safety in the Premier League for another season. Fantastic from West Ham, but for Watford, this could be a capitulation, David, that could have far-reaching effects. Watford's next games upcoming. They have to take on the might of Manchester City at home next. Then it's Arsenal away on the final day of the season. Their goal difference at the moment was quite favourable, but it might not be at the end of tonight's game, and even after the game against Manchester City as well. Bournemouth might find themselves with an advantage without even having to trouble too much about it.
Yeah, I mean, the way they started here was like it was West Ham's cup final, but not Watford's, which is, you just can't believe, certainly with the games they've got coming up. They just haven't got going, haven't closed the ball down, no intensity. it's hard to say desire, but there's no real desire to go and close the ball down. Whenever the ball's been in the final third, West Ham just like they can cut them open at will.
West Ham United lead by 3-0. It is a dream first 45 minutes for David Moyes' team. Only disappointment I think he'll have in the first 45 minutes is that there wasn't a huge thronging 60,000 strong crowd to see it.
Well,
imagine the mood in here if there had been a vocal audience.
Well, I think he was delighted after the Burnley game. There wasn't 60,000 here, but that's for sure. But certainly now, might be a little bit different.
And West Ham have been here before. They've had 32 points in 2006-07. They stayed up on the final day. They've had their dramatic climaxes like 2009-10 and in 2010-11 when they ended up finishing bottom of the Premier League. They know that there were risks coming into this game and being so attacking from the start, but they also knew the reward, and so far it is the reward that is delivering. Watford, I mean, some of their performances recently have been rather damning away from home. The fact that they've now conceded in the last four games away from home so many goals and not scored any.
What, 2 away wins? That's it, isn't it, all season? Puts an awful lot of pressure on your home games, and obviously when you can't win them either, it's difficult.
They didn't win a Premier League game until November, Watford. Here is Sarr into Welbeck, and then towards the left-hand side where it's collected by Messina. Welbeck sends it long towards the far side, and it headed into the air. Sarr gets it back again, tries a volley on the edge of the penalty area. Hughes tries one from distance, but the range from which Watford are striking those suggests that there's a little bit of frustration amongst Nigel Pearson's team. A team that have been picked off in the opening half of this game. Souček, Antonio and Declan Rice with an absolute thunderous drive from 25 yards out, which, unless there is a major turn of events, has won all 3 points for David Moyes.
Well, certainly I think West Ham fans would like to see Declan get some more goals, that's for sure. He's got the ability, he's got the quality.
You think he'll stay?
I don't know. I think it's a sore point certainly for a lot of West Ham fans, because you know, if he did go to Chelsea, look, he was at Chelsea as a kid. If he does go to Chelsea, they've got a lot of great midfield options. Would he play? Yeah, he probably would, to be honest.
The rumour is that they want him to play in central defence. Is that the right thing to do?
No, because he's played central defence for West Ham, and I don't think he is a centre half. I think he's definitely a midfielder, but I think he's got more to his game rather than just sitting in front of the back four. And he showed against Chelsea how well he played then, because I saw him in the first game and I thought, I've seen him against, for example, Loftus-Cheek, and I thought he didn't really have the same pace and power, and Loftus-Cheek ran off him, but certainly in the game just recently I thought he was outstanding, and he's impressed me certainly the last few months, Rice.
Good touch by Sarr over on the far side, feeding Femenia. Across comes Fornals, who's done quite well with his work rate. I think there's a lot of discussion about, you know, Lanzini, Fornals, there's so many number 10s, Anderson, who doesn't ever get in the team now. You know, the work rate of the others isn't as good as Fornals. He ends up being subbed every game, Fornals, because he runs himself into the ground, but David Moyes feels as if he can rely on him over on that left hand side. Started the last 9 games including this one.
Well, look, when you have an injury to Fredericks and you've got to bring in a youngster, and with Bowen down that right-hand side, you know, what you want is a good start just to settle everyone down, and they've done that here.
Talk about good start. West Ham 3, Watford 0. And for the latest odds, you can head to the Betfair Exchange, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can back Watford to win at 190, the draw for 38, and West Ham to win 1.02. That's all thanks to the Betfair Exchange. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus, begambleaware.org. And Rashman, don't worry about cashing out. It's fine. We'll be okay. I think. Maybe Nigel Pearson come up with a miracle, it might change, but I think we'll be okay. Here is Welbeck down the left side. Infield he goes to Hughes. Watford chasing this game now. Here is Femenia from distance, striking the ball against Cresswell. The only thing really that could undo West Ham now, David, is their own complacency.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, look, Watford are resorting to shots from distance, that time from anywhere from a good 25 yards out. We had one from Hughes, blazed over the bar from about 25 yards out. That will suit West Ham.
Doucouré trying to get into the box, robbed by Fornals and sent long up to Antonio, who tries to bully his way away from Kabasele. Kabasele frustrated that the ball is adjudged to have come off him last, although the assistant on the far side actually has changed his mind and given the throw in to Watford. Watford will have possession of the ball once again. Kinko Femenia takes it. There's no easy solutions to a problem like this if you're Nigel Pearson. As you've already mentioned, there isn't too many options on the bench. There's the exciting young winner in João Pedro. Andre Gray, huge money signing, but doesn't really score you many goals. Pereira, who's been invented but hasn't been trusted as much by Nigel Pearson, although I hear that actually he gets on very well with Pereira and likes him a lot, but hasn't used him very much since Danny Welbeck's re-emergence. Here's a throw-in for Watford, deep inside West Ham territory. Messina tried to take it level with the edge of the penalty area. The referee says no, it's further on than that. It goes probably within 5 steps of the corner flag, and he'll throw this ball in from the near side. It's going to be a long arcing throw, which drops towards Deeney. He tries to head it, but it's West Ham head and Souček that gets it away first. Back to Messina. His cross is deep towards the far post, and Welbeck was up there, so was Doucouré. Didn't quite fall for him, and it's cleared away towards the halfway line. Antonio gets it, dabs it back to Declan Rice. Immediately he's engaged by Doucouré, who wins it for Watford and turns it over once again. We're in the final minute of a dream first half, a perfect first half, a fantasy football first half for West Ham United and their supporters. Had a few texts from West Ham supporters before the game talking about the fingernails being bitten to the quick in anticipation. Well, I don't think there'll be too much nerve jangling at half time. The champagne might well be put in the fridge for a little bit later on. Here is Fornals across to Noble. Sends it out towards the right hand side. A perfect 500th appearance in West Ham colours. The first man to achieve that mark since Steve Potts for Mark Noble so far, although he's just ended up losing the ball because Johnson's pass to him was inaccurate. Johnson's loose ball resulted in a Watford counter-attack, and then Rice has committed a foul, and that's going to be a free kick 18 yards short of the edge of the penalty area inside the West Ham half of the field.
Well, you just saw David Moyes' reaction there when Johnson lost the ball, not for the first time. I think, to be honest, he's given it away an awful lot, Johnson. He struggled, and actually, why did he turn back? He had the whole pitch in front of him there. He could have just played the ball down the line. When he checked back, Moyes threw his arms in the air, say, just play forward. In the end, you play square, loses the ball, and they got to defend a free kick.
West Ham 3, Watford 0. Talk Sport, Friday night, game day kickoff. The sports bar to come a little bit later where you'll be able to have your say on this. Here's a Watford free kick taken by Hughes, arced out towards the far side. Dawson tries to rise above Ogbonna, but it's a good, strong header by the former Juventus man, and it's out of play over on the far side. Thrown in again, this time to Cleverley. Cleverley tries to allow it to run down the right. Deeney steps over it. It's crossed into the centre. Dawson with a header over the top of the crossbar, arriving well into the box, and he's been so impressive with his head recently since the restart. That's his 10th headed shot in the Premier League since we got back to playing again. This one narrowly over the top.
Yeah, brilliant ball in the box. I think it's Femenia right along the 6-yard box. Dawson gets in between Ogbonna and Diop. Good header, but he just couldn't quite keep it down.
Did you take a deflection after Dawson had connected with it?
I'm not sure. I don't think so, but as you say, he's been a real goal threat. But that's a concern, isn't it? Unless you get a penalty or a goal from Dawson.
Well, he's got 2 goals in 6 appearances since the restart.
Yeah.
He hadn't scored for, I think, 2 years prior to that, or a year prior to that. Here's Antonio down the left-hand side. Actually, I think he scored for West Brom in the semi-final of the Championship playoff the previous year. But he's not a regular goal scorer by any stretch of the imagination, but he's become more of a threat in this post-lockdown period, and that was a real opportunity for them to get one back just before half-time. That may well have just changed the course of the evening.
Which is why David Moyes, you know, I told you I spoke to some friends of mine who played under him, you know, give me the lowdown on him. That's why he throws his arms in the air there, giving the ball away this late, approaching the end of the first half, going backwards. You know, your fullback, just put it into the channel, because what happens, you give the ball away, give a foul away, next thing you know, opposition get a chance, 6 yards out in your box.
Yeah, because it came from Ben Johnson on this right-hand side with the loose ball back to Noble, which then ended up giving away the initial free kick, which led to that opportunity. It's pretty clear that West Ham defensively are not a team that you would trust, so you can understand why David Moyes is a little concerned and will not be resting on his laurels. Here's Jared Bowen over the halfway line, combining with Noble. Noble overhits his pass forward to Bowen, and it goes straight through to Ben Foster away to our right-hand side. It remains 3-0 to West Ham. We're in the final few seconds of the first half. We're in injury time, and we're just waiting for the referee to blow his half-time whistle on what has been a successful first 45 minutes from David Moyes and his team. 3 goals in the first 35 minutes. Antonio, Souček and Rice seem to have taken this game already beyond Nigel Pearson and his team. It was the perfect start for West Ham. Watford has suffered an early hammer blow in their bid to survive in the Premier League next season. At the break, it's a West Ham whopper. 3-0 they lead against Watford. Thank you very much, Resmin. Welcome back to the commentary box here. Celebration sounds fun at Ellen Road tonight. Congratulations to Leeds United, 16 years away. They'll be back in the Premier League next season. We'll look forward to going to Ellen Road on game day at some point in the not too distant future, whenever the new season does start. Watford were out a little bit earlier than West Ham United for this second half, but they've come out without Adam Messina, who has been replaced at half-time by Adrian Mariappa. He's gone to right back. It means that Firmino has gone to left full back. Firmino, who played there against Chelsea recently and played several games at left back over December, when actually Watford played some of their better football, is going over to deal with Jared Bowen. I mean, he's made that change, David Connolly, but Nigel Pearson could have made 1 or 2 more.
Yeah, and obviously they're out early. I'm sure he read them probably a little bit the right act. I know he didn't against Newcastle, but I think he would have done here. He needs a response, and I guess Moyes to his players would be saying, look, expect a response. You know, they won't be as bad as that, because they were woeful the first half, Watford. They won't be as bad, so expect it, make sure we're up for it, make sure we match it. And we got the 3 points here that probably secures our safety. Underway in the second half, live on TalkSport. West Ham United in shirts with a blue chest, and the rest of them enveloped in claret, attacking the goal away to our left and having to do some defending at the start of the second half, with Danny Welbeck dancing down towards the right side, being pursued by right back Johnson. It's flicked through his legs and cleared away by Cresswell up towards the halfway line. Here are the two teams. West Ham in claret and blue, with Fabianski in goal, Johnson, Ogbonna, Diop and Cresswell the back four, Rice, Noble and Souček in midfield, and Noble pushing on to be almost like a number 10, with Fornals out on the left, Bowen out on the right and Antonio leading the line. Watford in yellow and black halved jerseys on the front anyway. The back of the jersey is just a big yellow slab with red numbers, black shorts and yellow socks attacking the goal to our right hand side, with Hughes drifting the ball into the box. It's headed away by Diop. Cresswell goes to engage with Ismail Assar, who wins a corner at the start of this second half. They've got Foster in goal. For many are playing left back now. The right back is Mariappa, Cavaselli and Dawson's the two centre halves. Hughes and Decore holding in midfield, cleverly further on. Sarr and Welbeck flanking Deeney in attack. A frustrated Troy Deeney in attack. Here is Will Hughes to take the corner. It's just hanging over the quadrant as he raises one arm into the sky, delivers across towards the far post, takes a little deflection. Cavaselli was up there and got a glancer on it. Might well have just nicked past the post on the far side. It goes out for a goal kick. Yeah, really good ball in from Hughes. Cavaselli, good header down, just flashed past the post. But that is the same back four, as you said, Sam, against Chelsea. Firmino left back, Mariappa right back. And Chelsea had an awful lot of joy down this left-hand side where Fornals is, where Cresswell is. Those little pockets that Souček likes to run into, and Antonio.
Well, West Ham have won 3 of the last 4 meetings with Watford, including a 3-1 win earlier in the season. A lot has changed since then. In fact, it was 11 months ago. It was back in August. The goal scorers of 3 of the 4 goals aren't even in the 11s tonight. Allaire, who's on the bench, and Andre Gray, who also similarly finds himself on the bench. Might see him a little bit later on. Here is Decore being played in by Welbeck into the area. He goes past one defender, then gets into the box and ciphers the ball against the post. It comes back to Troy Deeney, and Deeney from 8 yards out finds the corner of the net and may just drag Watford back into this encounter. 4 minutes after the restart, and Deeney has poked Watford back into the match. It's West Ham United 3, Watford 1. That might be the faintest of lifelines.
Yeah, that might be the response. I think that certainly Pearson would have wanted. Lovely little ball in behind here. There's Welbeck, just skips inside Ogbonna, opens his body out, arcs it to that far corner, comes straight off the post, bounces back to Deeney, who just side-footed into the back of the net.
It starts with Deeney on the touchline, into Welbeck, then onto Doucouré. Lovely run by Doucouré, past Ogbonna into the box at the angle of the 6-yard box. He strokes the ball against the inside of the far post. It bounces back to Deeney and he can't miss. And it's 3-1. And it's still a long way back for Watford, but with the desperation that they need to show in this second half and West Ham's propensity to give up leads, anything can still happen here on game day. Ball is with Cresswell on the left side. They win a corner now, West Ham, as he slams the ball against the back of Ismail Assar. Well, now you're thinking about that Dawson chance at the end of the first half.
Yeah, and obviously the third goal, which was certainly a real killer for them, a hammer blow. Because 2-0 is always a tough one, but 3-0, however, they've come out, he's got response, they've got the goal.
West Ham just need to grab their composure, take their time, not rush into anything. Noble with the corner delivery in towards the centre of the 6-yard box. It's easily grabbed by the grey-suited Ben Foster, and immediately Watford are on the attack here, cleverly forward towards the right. Stopped by Fornals Doucouré. The ball bounces back into midfield. Ogbonna goes across and manages to clear down the line. Fornals sends it on, looking for Antonio. Oh, a little flick by the defender Dawson, which took it away from everybody and sent it out for a corner kick over on the far side. I wonder whether that would have just scooted off the turf and into the arms of Ben Foster, and whether Dawson really needed that intervention.
Yeah, fantastic though from Fornals. That's what he's got. He gets half the yard, gets his head up, spots the run of Antonio running in behind, just plays it into the channel, and Dawson did well.
I don't think that David Moyes is particularly happy.
Well, for a large part of that first half, after they went 2-0 up, they didn't play that well following that.
5 minutes gone in the second half. West Ham United 3, Watford 1. West Ham always give you a ride, don't they? Get your money's worth with them.
And you've got to remember the goal difference is crucial, isn't it, for Watford if they are going to lose this game?
Absolutely. If they're going to lose it, don't lose it by a huge amount. Another corner is given. West Ham's last 4 games, there have been 14 goals. There's another 4 tonight. They are nothing if not entertaining for the neutrals. Here's the corner over on the far side. And it's going to be whipped in deep underneath the goalkeeper, who comes out. Souček was putting pressure on him once again, but Ben Foster grabbed it from the sky, immediately bowled out to Doucouré, who's been encouraged to run forward quickly up towards Sarr. Doesn't quite reach him, and it's cleared by West Ham back into opposition territory. Bowled out brilliantly and quickly by the rather muscular Ben Foster, who finds Danny Welbeck over on the far side. He drifts out to the touchline, shares the ball with Sarr, gets it back again, comes back in field for Will Hughes. Another goal now would make things interesting for Watford. Back to Hughes again. Hughes looking up, playing it forward into Sarr. A back heel could play in Danny Welbeck, but he just took a little bit too much time and then overcooked it, and it goes behind, dribbles behind, away for a goal kick away to our right hand side. 3-1 West Ham United lead, 7 minutes into the second half. You're listening to Talk Sport live on this Friday night. West Ham against Watford. And don't forget, you can catch this match, West Ham Watford, live right now with an Now TV Sky Sports Pass for just $9.99. Search Now TV. Here's David Connolly.
Well, certainly I think Nigel Pearson will be really pleased. I guess he probably couldn't wait to get him in at half time, probably give him a piece of his mind, but they've certainly responded here much better. The tempo is already markedly different, isn't it, in terms of Foster getting the ball, he's distributing quicker, they're on the front foot.
Everything about Watford in that first half was lethargic and socially distant. Now they're getting tight to men, they're moving the ball quicker, they're urgent as they rush upfield. Here is Welbeck on the far side trying to curl the ball goalwards. It's blocked by Johnson, spirals into the air, bounces out of the penalty area. Just much more about them. It was a nothing performance in that first 45 minutes from Watford. There's certainly something about them now. Can they sustain it? Can they drag themselves closer to West Ham United here? Or is this just going to be a quick burst at the start of the second half? 3-1 the score. Cleverly back to the halfway line. Dawson, lots of men further forward from Watford. Kabasele engaged by Rice, but plays it centrally into Cleverley, up to Doucouré, chested down by Cleverley. Deeney takes over now, just in front of the D, works it wide, collected by Mariappa. His attempt at a cross goes into a dangerous area, but there's no one in yellow waiting for that. It's headed away by Diop, and then nudged up towards the halfway line. Antonio can't get the better of Cavaselli, who does well just to nudge him off the ball, and Watford turn it over and come back again. Sarr into the centre, flying right over the top of Fabianski, and it's out for a goal kick away to our right hand side. This is Talk Sport.
Again, another really good attack from Watford. That time Sarr, he's gone with a drilled cross. I don't know why. Maybe just leave that in, use your side foot, or loft it into an area. When you drill the ball like that, it's got to be absolutely inch perfect.
Nigel Pearson, black t-shirt on tonight, arms crossed. He's just unwound them to gesticulate to his team, to lift their moves, to suck in a bit more oxygen into those lungs and go again, put West Ham under continual pressure. It's a big, strong header from Craig Dawson, who goes right over the top of Souček to head it straight out of play. Little things like that set the tone.
Absolutely, yes, statement of intent. Right, I'm going to come through this is mine, I'm going to win it. But we just didn't see that in the first half, but we certainly have here in the second.
10 minutes gone in the second half. If you're just joining us, West Ham took a 3-goal lead inside 35 minutes here at the London Stadium. Watford scoring 4 minutes after the restart to make it West Ham 3, Watford 1. Earlier on today, Leeds were promoted to the Premier League after West Brom lost at Huddersfield on TalkSport 2. Brentford, who have won their last 8 games, play Stoke tomorrow on TalkSport 2 at 12:30. And then Barnsley on Wednesday. If they were to win those 2 remaining fixtures, they too would be promoted to the Premier League.
Well, here's Fabianski. The ball went out on the right-hand side of his 6-yard box. Look, he doesn't need to take it there, but obviously he moves it over to the left, just wasting a few seconds. Game management.
Well, he just wants to take the sting out of this Watford response in the second half, doesn't he? Ball kicked long over the halfway line, down towards the left and to Antonio. Tries to shrug off Tom Cleverley's attentions. It's pushed down the play by the former England man. He is an England international, Tom Cleverley. 13 caps, the last of which came quite a while ago now. November 13. 7 years ago. Here is Doucouré, deep inside his own territory on the right side. Picked up by Sarr, played in by Hughes, onto Sarr again. Cross comes on Bonner, deals with it agriculturally. Immediately the Watford subs burst out. They want to get the ball moving again. Chalobah was the one who reacted. Even they're more urgent in the second half.
Ironically, they can't use that ball, can they? Got to be a new one, fresh one.
Which is why one of the officials has just come across to retrieve it and taken it off its plinth. Have to sanitise that before it can go back into action. We will have a throw on this near side for Mariappa, who's deep inside West Ham territory as they progress down the touchline. Mariappa wants to launch this one torpedo-like into the box. Instead he goes short again. After winding up for a big one, it's delivered by Cleverley into the area, punched away by Fabianski, falls for Souček, who hooks it over the halfway line. Dawson sends it back again. Almost Fornals reacting and winning it. Hughes is then beaten to the ball by Antonio, but I think there was too much physicality from the scorer of West Ham's opener, and it's a free kick to Watford, who quickly want to get it moving again. Increase in movement and speed and velocity of thought for Watford has certainly had an impact. Dawson with another header as the ball goes into the box. He heads it down and it's an easy save this time.
He's done so well, hasn't he, Dawson, in both boxes. He does get his head to a lot of stuff. I know he's maybe out-jumped by Souček, but he got in between Cavaselli for me. But what a signing, he's been terrific.
Well, I mentioned it earlier, that's now 11 attempts on goal with his head since the Premier League restart. And the next best is 7 from Olivier Giroud. Here is Hughes, played out towards the right side. 13 minutes gone in the second half, under the lights here at this huge Olympic stadium. Played left to Deeney. Deeney out further wide. First time ball through the 6-yard box was well delivered by Firmino, but there was no one there to tap it home in front of Lucas Fabianski, and it just drifts out and away for a goal kick. But West Ham sweating a little bit, and David Moyes certainly a little bit agitated.
Yeah, but Deeney's that man. He's just taken up really intelligent positions, just drops off those West Ham centre-halves, just comes a little bit deeper in a nice little pocket of space, receives it on his back foot, then plays it out wide. Good ball into the box, but there's no one really gambling. I would say maybe the delivery from Firmino wasn't the best, a little bit too far in front of the attackers. But that's much better.
This is a crucial part of the game here, and how David Moyes manages this situation will go a long way to sorting out whether West Ham come away with 3 points or end up with a demoralising draw, or even worse than that, losing the game from an almost unassailable position. Here is Dawson. I think he'll make a couple of substitutions in a minute. He's warming 1 or 2 up away to our left-hand side. I think Felipe Anderson. Here's Decore trying to sweep it out into the Watford right. It's met by Cresswell. Nudged back infield. Noble puts some pressure on cleverly. The ball bounces back to Will Hughes. Forward towards Sarr. There was a foul there by Souček. A free kick is going to be given 15-20 yards from goal on this right-hand side. Currently West Ham 3, Watford 1. The latest odds are available at the Betfair Exchange, the official betting partner of Talk Sports Premier League coverage. Right now you can back Watford at 42, the draw 10.5. You can back West Ham at 1.12. That's all thanks to the Betfair Exchange. More ways to bet, more ways to win. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
Well, it's a completely different Watford team, isn't it, in the second half? Just wonder if they left it a little bit too late. We'll have to wait and see.
David Connolly represented both these two teams. Certainly it was a game of 2 halves, as the cliche goes. As from Watford in this second half, they've been much more aggressive. That's a decent ball in by Cleverly towards the near post, which is glanced behind by Bonner, and it's away for a corner kick over on the far side.
It's a better delivery, but it's still a little bit too far in front of the attackers there from Cleverly, but at least it's into a decent area.
Here's another corner towards the head of Dawson. It's headed away by West Ham, and then Bowen starts to spring a counter-attack. He's got loads in attendance, and Antonio is speeding up alongside him. Well, that was a forearm smash, wasn't it, from Firmino into the face of Jared Bowen, who goes down on the edge of the penalty area. Free kick is going to be given by Martin Atkinson. He's lucky to get away without a yellow card, I think.
Well, it's terrific ball carrying here from Jared Bowen. Carries his team up about 40-50 yards right to the edge of the Watford box, and I think Firmino just eases him out. To be honest, I didn't see too much in that.
It wasn't as much of a hand across the face as it looked from the 90 yards away that we are when you look at the replay, but it certainly was his intention to stop him in his tracks. And it does generate a West Ham United free kick over on the far side. Cresswell, who hasn't scored since the victory over Chelsea in November, is lining this one up. It's a good 3 steps outside the penalty area. This would be the moment to score now. Cresswell straight into the 3-man wall. It's repelled out by Watford to the halfway line.
It's a big wall as well, isn't it? So he's got to be bang on the money there with his delivery. Cresswell try to go up and over. When it's so tall, that wall, it's difficult.
Is that 10 yards? Martin Atkinson measured it out, the referee.
I wouldn't want to buy a carpet off him.
You don't buy carpet, you're definitely a parquet floor man. Yeah, you're all that sort of hardwood new age stuff, aren't you, eh? Free kick given inside the West Ham half of the field. A foul over on the far left. Jared Bowen's been a live wire tonight. I sat in this opening day, this seat on the opening day of the season actually. I was really impressed at the time by Sebastian Aller. We haven't seen hair nor hind of him, have we, in this second half of the season? I know he's had injury issues, but it hasn't really worked out as maybe we first hoped that it would for him.
Well, it's an awful lot of money, and he's really failed to justify it, you've got to say, compared to some other forwards. I think both these teams spent a lot of money. Sarr, he was costly too, but I think he looks like the better acquisition at the moment.
£40 million last summer for Ismaila Sarr, as Watford look to try and progress down the touchline. Eintracht Frankfurt received £45 million. Well, they're supposed to receive £45 million from West Ham for Sébastien Haller. The payment schedule has already been questioned once or twice. It's 27 minutes to go before the end of the game. West Ham United 3, Watford 1 on Talk Sport, live at the London Stadium, where West Ham look to have forced their way to 3 points with a blitzing in the first 45 minutes, only to come out in the second half to a Watford team renewed of purpose. As a result of that, what's going on here? Ben Foster trying to hold off at Mikel Antonio as the ball goes behind and away for a goal kick. A defender would try and shepherd that ball out of play, whereas Ben Foster just looked to crouch down and stop him from making the run to the ball.
There wasn't actually enough pace on the ball, was it? So he tried to run it out. He got away with it in the end.
Well, that was a foul, wasn't it? If he'd done that if any other player had done that anywhere else on the pitch, would the referee not have blown for that?
Possibly. Although I'm just thinking about that late payment for Haller and thinking about all the purple carpet they've had to put down here. That's probably why.
Here is Menia out towards the far side. He goes in towards Hughes. It's not purple, it's claret. Come on. I like it. Here is Cleverley, central midfield for Watford, played into the feet of Doucouré, out to the near touchline, and then it's back with Mariappa. Pace has gone out of the game again a little bit here as the night has started to darken above our heads at the Olympic Stadium in East London. West Ham leading by 3-1 across from the left from Menia, looks for Welbeck, headed away by Diop, collected by Mikel Antonio, and West Ham look to spring a surprise on the bounce, out of defence into attack. Bowen tries to take on Dawson, who's too wily to fall for any of those simple tricks from Bowen. Tried to suck him in and then push it past him, but before he could do that, Dawson was in.
I mean, Antonio's been outstanding, but just look at him closely now. He's held the ball up brilliantly every time it's coming to him, but then he's been slow to go again. Now, whether he's a little bit fatigued, I don't know. I guess at some point you're going to have to bring Haller on and go, look, Antonio, wrap you up in cotton wool, but I guess he won't do that until he really feels the game is won.
Going to have a substitute for Watford in just a few moments. Here is Deeney flicking the ball long out towards the left, and here taking over is Danny Welbeck, trying to charge forward. Interception from Diop, does well, takes it off the toes of the former England man, and West Ham have it back again. We're into the second half here at the London Stadium, where West Ham's lead in the game looks so secure at 3-0, doesn't look as comfortable at 3-1, and they've just wrestled a little bit more control from the game.
The tempo is just gone from West Ham now. It is a tale of two halves. I mean, Cresswell there puts his arms up as he slings a hopeful ball into the box, claimed by Foster. He says, well, there was no movement, nothing around me, and certainly the tempo's died. He might have to make, I know probably Moyes doesn't want to, but certainly to inject a bit of creativity and spark into the side, I think he has to make a change soon.
Deeney up into his feet, the ball goes before he can win it. The ball goes straight out of play, and that's the last action from Troy Deeney tonight. He's going to be replaced by Andre Gray. He's not 100% fit, Troy Deeney, but he's certainly played his part. He's dragged this team back into the game with a goal just after half-time, which has made the scoreline a little bit more respectable. Might be important, even in the context of the rest of the season, if goal difference sorts out who will be staying in the Premier League next season. Andre Gray is on. What impact can he make?
Will certainly provide a little bit more pace in behind alongside Sarr.
I think it was only right and proper that we saw Andre Gray tonight. It is National Tattoo Day, and he...
let's have a look, Sam. Let's have a look.
I've got a couple. One there. Andre Gray's got a tapestry of icons on his body. Icons who have struggled for equality: Nelson Mandela, Rosa Parks, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all etched into his skin. He spoke brilliantly about the Black Lives Matter campaign a few weeks ago. He's on the pitch now to try and influence proceedings for Watford. The ball is on the right side with Sarr into the box, cleared away by Ogbonna into midfield. Noble doesn't handle that particularly with care, and it comes back again down the right. Dabbed by Gray to the wide right position for Sarr to cross into the box, looking for Doucouré, headed away by Souček, getting to help his defence out. Firmino retrieves it for Watford, far side, 3 yards in from the touchline. He goes back to Dawson, forward quickly up towards Sarr from Dawson, but it's headed clear by Cresswell. Again, it's Watford who have the ball back very, very quickly. And we'll look to try and pressurise that West Ham defence again. Not a West Ham defence that you would instinctively trust to keep Watford out for the remaining 22 minutes of the game.
Well, that's why the likes of Souček has been so important in both boxes. You saw him there, ball comes in the box, use all his height, and he's great in the air just to flick it away from danger.
Well, the entwined history of these two managers is taking another turn tonight. David Moyes, who was signed as a replacement for Nigel Pearson at Shrewsbury in October 1987. Here's Rice shooting from distance, takes a deflection off Hughes and goes down a player over on the far side. He signed for Shrewsbury 2 weeks after Nigel Pearson had joined Sheffield Wednesday. Both of them centre-backs as players, but both of them with defensive problems.
Well, really good strike there from Rice. Dawson doing what he does best, just putting his body in the way. It actually came off his face there, took it really well. It's gone out for a corner, but again, superb play from Antonio, who I've got a feeling might, as I said earlier, might be making way for Haller.
Bowen to take this corner kick, 2 hands in the air, a left-footed in-swinger. Goalkeeper's come a very long way, only got a little bit of a touch on it, comes back out to Noble, recycles it at the far post. Souček is waiting to head the ball down. He does into the 6-yard box, and before it can reach Antonio, flying to head it out of play and away for a corner was Dawson. And indeed it's out for a second successive corner kick for West Ham United.
Well, so clever from Souček. He just pulls away at the back post. Noble spots him, not many players would. Just stays in that little area, unmarked. Gets up really well, holds it back across goal, but it's put out for a corner. He's so clever, Souček, so clever.
On from Slavia Prague. I think he'll be purchased at the end of this campaign. Noble with the corner kick in towards the near post, headed away by Hughes, who was the first man stationed right in front of Ben Foster's goal. Away by Doucouré, dabbed out to Hughes, who tries to wriggle out of Noble's grasp. He gets to halfway, it's picked up by Sarr, he dances down the touchline, looks to outpace Ogbonna, goes on the outside, bursts into the box. Ogbonna does just enough to put body between man and ball, and Sarr can't get beyond him, and the ball just trickles out and away for a goal kick away to our right. But there's still life in this game yet. We've played half of the second 45, which means we're going to have, or over half of the second 45, we're going to have a drinks break now and a pause in play, and an opportunity for both managers to assess players to take on fluids in what are still quite warm conditions, and for us to tell you about what's upcoming on TalkSport a little bit later on. The Sports Bar Northern Quarter, 08717 223344, and the Northern Quarter of the country has burst into life tonight, especially if you're a Leeds United fan. You might want to have your say. 08717 223344. Adam and Mickey Gray taking your calls straight after the conclusion of the game here. And tomorrow we've got really important fixtures. Stoke against Brentford is massive. Mark Wilson and Chris Awellamo on TalkSport 2, an exclusive game from the Championship, and it has massive implications for West Bromwich Albion. 12:30 tomorrow, TalkSport 2. Game day live with Adrian Durham. He's at Hull against Luton. Neil Redfern will be at Middlesbrough against Cardiff. Perry Groves at Queen's Park Rangers against Millwall for the fastest goal service on your radio. Fulham Sheffield Wednesday at 3 on TalkSport 2. Norwich against Burnley is at 5:30 on TalkSport from the Premier League. Joe Shannon and Dean Ashton, your commentary team. Jim and Stuart Pearce will bring you the semi-final of the FA Cup, Arsenal against Manchester City on Saturday night, 7:45. Sunday's busy as well. Derby Leeds, Barnsley Forest, and then Chelsea-Manchester United, the FA Cup semi-final, live on TalkSport with myself, Stuart Pearce, and Mark Saggers. David Connolly.
Well, it just looks like Haller has come on, but Fornalza's gone off, so I imagine Antonio might go wide. Maybe Haller down through the middle. A little bit of a rejig, but I thought maybe they might.
With that, Antonio, though, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Obviously, that's where he started out wide as a winger, so he'll be fine. But I just thought he maybe might have had a little rest, a complete rest, and go again. But I don't think Moyes can afford to do that. Take him off the pitch.
More natural position for Mikel Antonio, although he's done very good at making himself a presence in the centre forward position. And Sebastian Haller is on the pitch. You're listening to TalkSport. Here is a chance to squeeze the ball home as well for Haller. On the edge of the penalty area, the ball dropped for him, and he very quickly reacted as Watford once again went to pieces, and he tried to hook it goalwards, but he was narrowly wide. I think it might have taken a little deflection on the way through. A mishap by Kabasele. It came straight to Haller, and Ben Foster had to make a lightning fingertip save.
Oh, fantastic save. He just claws it away. Haller nearly got on the end of that. Wonderful. I think he's furious there with Kabasele. Really poor defensive header, put him in all sorts of problems, but great save.
Here is the corner to be taken by Noble on the right, towards the back post, headed away from inside the penalty area by Danny Welbeck, out towards the far side, retrieved by Jared Bowen, who puts it through the legs of one defender and looks for Souček, who's trying to dance his way between two Watford players. He's taken through for Femenia, looks to put it through his legs. Femenia won't be twisted by that, and it's headed clear out towards the far side. Johnson finds Rice. West Ham come forward again. Watford have made a change. Doucouré off and Chalobah on. Here on the left side is Cresswell back into Noble back out to the left, and Cresswell again. And here is Noble, the captain, just teetering down the left touchline, just holding on to the ball, trying to draw something. He's won a throw in on the near side. Well, it was invention from Allaire. It was quick reaction from him, because it came to him in an instant, and he very smartly tried to divert the ball goalwards, and it was a fantastic, nothing short of tremendous save from Ben Foster.
It was, and we have seen a few goalkeepers maybe out of position, haven't we? Shea Adams, for example, and then it started a trend. Then in the Championship, Armstrong do that sort of similar thing, and nearly came off again there for Allaire.
Antonio winding up for a long throw. This one will go straight into the box. It's deep and towards the near post, and looking for Allaire. He can't get on the end of it, but it's back in by Rice. Souček rises. A lot more height in that West Ham team now, with Souček and Allaire as the focal points. Rice isn't small. Here is Ben Johnson floating one to the edge of the box as West Ham pressure continues. Down the left it goes to Antonio from the flick on from Allaire. A right-footed cross into the box looking for Souček, headed over the crossbar.
Again, gets in the box so well, Souček. Brilliant little ball with the outside of the boot from Antonio. Allaire wins the flick on, then Antonio gets to the byline. He doesn't really trust his left, so use the outside of his boot right along the 6-yard line. There's Souček, gets up so well.
Great cross from Antonio.
Yeah. But again, Souček, the runs, I mean, he's just able to break at will into the box. He's added so much to this West Ham side, he really has.
We do hope that they've got that deal
tied up,
ironclad, because I'm sure there'll be one or two others in the Premier League that have spotted his availability.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at other sides. I mean, for example, I don't know, in Championship, Fulham had an awful lot of loans that they turned into permanents, and maybe some have worked, some haven't. And you look at this one here for West Ham, you think, well, fingers crossed they got this one right. Certainly tied up.
You're listening to TalkSport. It's West Ham United 3, Watford 1. On TalkSport with the next generation Nissan Juke. Together, let's move beyond.
There's not many midfielders that can, with his obviously aerial capability in both boxes, he can run, he can tackle, he can recover the ball, and he gets goals. I mean, there's not many of them around.
He's long and lean. His heading prowess has been pointed out by David Connolly. He's a tiny footballer as well. Here on the left side is Noble, breaking forward for West Ham United. Wants to secure all 3 points in that 500th appearance. They've had a nervier second half than maybe they should have done. Antonio wriggles free past one. That one was Chalobah. Runs into Cleverly and then threatens to take on Chalobah again. The two end up tangling like a game of Twister, and eventually the ball squirms out for a throw-in down away to our left, deep inside Watford territory.
Well, maybe Moyes is right. Maybe he doesn't need to take Antonio off because he's got the drinks break. I guess you've probably factored that in. He could get a little breather. Antonio, he's come alive again, hasn't he?
Yeah. Well, he's played a lot of minutes in this post-lockdown era, and a lot of but a lot of fears were that actually he couldn't last 90 minutes earlier in the season. He wasn't fit enough to string games together. But I mean, he's played more minutes, I think, than anybody else under David Moyes.
And what I would say is he performs really well out wide, and especially with Allaire up there, he can take a little bit of heat off him. He's not always got his back to goal, which I think he likes. He loves to run at people. We saw at times he was so deep, holding the ball up, then he was never really running the other way. But now with Allaire, he's able to do that wide.
Also, there's nothing but gain from keeping Mikel Antonio on, especially bearing in mind that win this tonight and the job is done, isn't it?
Yeah.
West Ham United 3, Watford 1. TalkSport live at the London Stadium. Like what could be an incredible night in the Premier League. If West Ham were to win this by this sort of scoreline, the goal difference at the bottom of the table, Bournemouth would only be 2.
Yes.
Obviously 3 points. Bournemouth would only probably have to win one of their games well and hope that Manchester City and Arsenal did a job on Watford, and all of a sudden Bournemouth and Eddie Howe from nowhere could end up surviving. Aston Villa have it again as a possibility. They've got tough games to come, but they will feel as if they've got a chance if the scoreline stays the same. Here's Chalobah onto Andre Gray. Interception from Rice. There was an offside flag anyway against Andre Gray, and a free kick has been given.
Well, we've had a lot of talk about Souček, but Declan Rice has quietly gone about his game a couple of times now. He's just broken play up. I know that was offside, but he's always getting his body in the way or just getting a foot in.
Another key player for West Ham United. Andrei Yarmolenko is about to come on for the Hammers. Came off the bench and scored a crucial goal against Chelsea. David Moyes will be hoping that he has another significant influence on these proceedings with 12 minutes to go here. It's getting slightly cooler, although it's been so warm. That's more than welcome. Ball is sent long by Fabianski, headed on initially, and then West Ham can't get it under control, and it's cleared out on this near side. A throw in by Mariappa into Chalobah. It's given away by Mariappa sloppily, and Haller plays it back into Souček. It's the most tidiest of passes, back by Sebastian Haller. Out wide it goes to Johnson. He goes down the far touchline, looks to take on Welbeck. Welbeck holds him off and the ball runs loose. Welbeck wins it. Is there a bit of a push by Johnson over on the far side?
Well, I just think Johnson needs to, obviously he'll learn, won't he? He's only young, but he just runs down a blind alley there. No way out for him, nowhere for him to go. Loses possession, Watford be on the attack.
20 years of age, in for the injured Ryan Fredericks tonight. Here is Hughes. Back in field it goes. Dawson. David Moyes rolls his hands, claps them together, and suggests that again his team need to up the tempo once more as Mariappa goes down the right, spins away from Antonio. Cresswell comes across on the cover and shanks the ball out of play on this near side. 10 minutes to go before the end. West Ham leading by 3-1. Here is Gray into Sarr. Lovely round the corner to Gray. Gray into the box, blocked by Ogbonna. Excellent work by Ogbonna as well. A vital intervention, because if he'd squeezed that one across Andre Gray, there were yellow shirts inside the box.
It's a lovely little 1-2 from Gray. Little give and go, but then on the cross, why does he lift it? If he puts that low right along the grass, you might have a chance of actually picking someone out. Instead, he raises it off the turf. Just takes it into Ogbonna's body.
Here's the change for West Ham United, and Yarmolenko is coming on.
He's keen, he's already on the pitch. The assistant referee said, hold your horses.
Careful.
Gotta wait for Bowen.
Bowen's coming on.
He's been brilliant, Bowen, I think.
He's been brilliant since he signed, hasn't he?
He
He's full of energy, he's got a high amount of work rate, he's a grafter, but he's creative. He signed on the last day of the transfer window.
Well, look at Hull since he's gone. The only
17 goals he got for Hull in the first half of the season.
And I guess a lot of people thought, will it be another Hugill maybe that doesn't quite work out, but he's a completely different sort of player.
He's 4 Premier League assists to restart after tonight's effort. And his cracking return from Jarrod Bowen. Steve Bruce will tell you that he found him at Hereford. Here is Sarr into the centre, looking for Andre Gray, pops up for Danny Welbeck, can't hit it cleanly, and it goes over the top of the crossbar.
Oh, good ball, really good ball here from Sarr, out on this right-hand side. Takes one touch out of his feet, has a little look up, just tries to leave it in the 6-yard box. Brilliant ball. Andre Gray misses it, and then falls in behind Welbeck. He can't get a clean contact on it either.
Just seemed to hit him on the toe, didn't it, and pop right over the top of the crossbar.
I think he was expecting Gray to get on the end of it, didn't he? Didn't quite expect it, you're right.
Great arcing cross from the right-hand side, which took out the West Ham defence. Another warning, if one was needed, that this isn't as secure as it should be for West Ham.
I think they have. Watford lost. Look, obviously whenever Deeney comes off, they lose a bit of their impetus, and that has been the case. They haven't quite looked as threatening, although I'd like to have seen Gray up there with Deeney, to be honest. See how they get on for the last 10-15 minutes.
Just wonder if that knee injury has flared up again. Here is Ben Foster with the free kick just short of the halfway line, launching it forward towards Dawson. Dawson's header can't find a teammate, so it bounces back into the centre circle for Menia, sends it on. Andre Gray trying to make a nuisance of himself. It runs through to Fabianski, and West Ham will take their time. They are hoping to secure an 8th consecutive Premier League campaign. We've just got pictures of Troy Deeney actually that popped up in front of us, and he's got a big huge bag of ice strapped to his knee. Obviously that is the reason why he hasn't been able to continue in the game. Over on the far side, ball's been won by Yarmolenko into Noble, then further wide to the left now, and Antonio. His cross is behind Sebastian Haller and retrieved by Firmino over on the far touchline. Watford trying to play out, a little slip by Dawson has given the ball straight back to West Ham. And Rice being squeezed by 2 yellow shirts, wants a free kick, looks at Martin Atkinson, appeals and gets it. Well, West Ham United know that this is a squad that needs attention in the summer. Too much talk by those in and around the club about what this team could achieve. Champions League places was mentioned when they moved to this stadium. David Moyes keeping people in check, I think, with his comments yesterday, in which it was an unlikely quote. I didn't expect David Moyes to come out with a quote from the Archbishop of York, but he did. Promise less, deliver more. That, said David Moyes, would be his motto going forward. That has to be a little bit of West Ham. We cannot keep promising that we will finish in high positions and not delivering. Just staying in the Premier League will be enough for now, I think. Here is Johnson down the right-hand side for West Ham, trying to get to the corner flag and get a cross in. It's blocked by Firmino. It's out for a corner, and Firmino there had to realise that it's his team that need to get things moving quickly, because he was going to leave the ball and allow it to float behind beyond the claret carpet into the first row of the stands. And then he thought, hold on a second, I need to get this restarted quickly because we've still got a job to do.
But West Ham hadn't sent Ogbonna up, so I think...
Cleared into the centre towards Diop. It's headed away by Dawson out to the near side from the corner, and it's picked up by Rice, who's just a couple of inches in from the chalk of the white line on this near side, the left. It's headed on by Diop, but way off target and behind and away for a goal kick. But the minutes are ticking away. West Ham counting down the moment to celebration and safety.
Well, they didn't send Ogbonna up there for that corner, which I guess is a telltale sign they're happy to have what they've got, hold it, secure it.
Here's another change, and Danny Welbeck is off, and coming on is João Pedro. João Pedro's a very young winger. He's only 18. He was scouted by Liverpool, snapped up from Fluminense in 2018, but only made the move in January. And I saw him at Tranmere Rovers earlier in the season, and he was impressive, but hasn't really forced his way into the reckoning here. Still a very young man.
Well, the other Brazilian before him, Richarlison, he didn't do too bad, did he?
Needs must, I suppose. Watford's nervousness, I suppose, will be tangible now, won't it? Because they'll look at the league table, 34 points with 2 to play, but those 2 games are Manchester City at Vicarage Road and Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. Aston Villa might fancy their chances with Arsenal 3 days after the semi-final, and then West Ham, who are now almost certainly safe. Bournemouth might think it's possible. They've got Southampton at home and a flip-flop wearing Everton on the final day. One thing is for sure, there's going to be drama, panic and heartbreak between now and next Sunday night. West Ham are going to be safe, aren't they, David?
Yeah.
Because the goal difference is highly significant here. There's almost a 0 chance they could be relegated now.
Yeah, I think so. And look, this was a pressure game, pressure performance. They didn't perform against Burnley, but they certainly have here, like they did against Chelsea, like they did against Newcastle and Norwich. But this was a huge game, and it's just the way they started it. That set the tempo, set the benchmark. They got the goals that they deserved, and massive 3 points for them, huge.
Here is the free kick for West Ham United on the halfway line. It's sent long towards the far touchline. It's headed on by Souček, looking for Haller, won by Watford. Forward to Chalobah. Chalobah back into midfield, cleverly clipping it out to the right-hand side. Might find Sarr, does find Sarr, chests it down, bursts into the box, finds a cross into the centre. It's inaccurate and just behind Gray, who wanted it in front of him, didn't get it, and it's cleared away by West Ham.
Oh, what a shame. The cross from Sarr just behind Gray. Terrific ball into him from Cleverly. Fantastic ball over the top.
Oh, Antonio breezes past Cleverly, bounds into the Watford half, goes past Dawson towards the edge of the D. A right-footed shot takes a deflection. Didn't bounce into the path of Haller, who was too busy appealing to chase what could have been an opportunity to win the ball ahead of Foster. And the referee's not having any suggestion of handball. but another run full of energy and enthusiasm from the boundless Mikel Antonio. Here is Cleverley into the area towards the far post, and Jean Pedro's effort over the top of the crossbar.
Yeah, it's a waste. It's woeful effort, to be honest. Good ball in from Cleverley from this right-hand side. Here's that chance again, I think, for Gray. Terrific take from Sarr on the run, but as he goes to deliver the ball on the 6-yard box, he's just behind Andre Gay.
Does he get his head up and find the cross, or does he? He's got to do that.
He's got to spot the run off Gray. Now you could say Gray might have made the run a little bit too early. He's already passed the near post before.
I was going to say, when the ball comes in, if he does play it to Andre Gray,
it's going to
be very difficult for him to steer that back on target.
Yeah.
So the idea of pulling it back may have been in his mind. Therefore, I think maybe he got caught in two minds by the time he'd executed the cross.
But already they've put a couple of balls in the box, haven't they? And just no one really on the end of them. They do need some extra goals, don't they, Watford? That's for sure next season.
Well, who knows what their makeup of their squad is going to be next season, what division they're going to be in next season. It's all up for grabs now, isn't it?
What are they going to do about Deeney? They need someone else, to take on that mantle. Similar sort of player, a Batshuayi style, I don't know, someone like that, a little bit younger maybe.
West Ham United thoughts can turn to the next season, a next season in the Premier League. Will it mean they keep Souček? Will it mean they keep Rice? Antonio's contract can be extended to 2022 with a clause that's in there. We woke up to news about that in the last 24 hours. 10 points from 15 at the most crucial part of the season. David Moyes deserves credit for that. And West Ham deserve credit, especially for their first 45-minute display here. Got a little bit of a jab in the ribs at the start of the second half, but they've managed to see it out into the final few seconds of the 90. West Ham lead by 3 goals to 1.
It's a woeful ball in the box this time. Andre Gray slotted in down the left-hand side of the box. You just got to roll that across. Instead he gets under it with his left peg. It sails out right over the other side for a throw-in. And look, the closer the goal, I have been told, it is true, the more perfect you've got to be. And as they've got closer to that goal, Watford tonight, they've been far from perfect.
Well, they've been imperfect at the back and imperfect at the front, and as a result of that they find themselves in a precarious position in the Premier League table. This is how it will read tonight. Norwich relegated with 21 points. 19th position, Aston Villa with 31 from 36. Bournemouth, 36 played, 31 points. The goal difference, minus 25. Then come Watford, 17th position, 34 points from 36, but a goal difference of minus 23. And with Manchester City to come next at Vicarage Road, and then a trip to Arsenal before the end of the season, you would say that Aston Villa and Bournemouth have slightly more favourable fixtures. Not perfect, but slightly more favourable. Aston Villa got West Ham and Manchester United, Bournemouth, Southampton and Everton. And the goal difference much tighter than it should be. Last week it was 5, 6. It's been getting smaller over time. That 4-1 win over Leicester City, Bournemouth have really tightened things up. Here's the cross into the box from Cleverley. Any goal might help now at the end of this game. 5 minutes of added time at the end of the 90. We're 90 seconds into that on Talk Sport, with West Ham leading by 3 goals to 1 on a significant night in the race to stay in the Premier League, live on Talk Sport. The ball is over on the far touchline. It drops out of the sky, and before it can be retrieved by João Pedro, Yarmolenko has killed it, taken to the touchline, then brought it back to Johnson, who's given the ball away a few times tonight. A difficult settling in period for him in such a pressurised game. Back on the halfway line is Cleverley, swinging the ball out to the far side, headed down by João Pedro into Femenia's path. Hasn't been enough penetration from Watford tonight, who look to try and get a goal right at the end of this game with a cross whipped in towards the near post, but Fabianski, brave and clear, comes out, claims, as he has done on a number of occasions this season. He's been vital, hasn't he, to David Moyes' success coming back. I mean, when he was out, his injury caused them all sorts of issues. They lost 9 of the 13 games that he was absent in.
Well, it was very difficult, wasn't it, for the likes of David Martin to come in, replace someone like Fabianski.
I don't think he was the problem.
No, well,
the other goalkeeper, Roberto, had a few issues and hasn't been seen since, as it was a bit of an issue for Manuel Pellegrini first and then David Moyes. Here is Mikel Antonio trying to fight for the ball down by the touchline. gets to the corner flag, tries to draw a free kick, gets a foul instead. Balbuena's going to come on for the last few minutes. Antonio is going to be replaced. David Moyes just wasting a few precious seconds at the end of this, well, watershed moment in the season, because this will almost certainly guarantee football of a top flight nature for West Ham United next season.
And if there were 60,000 here, they'd be giving him
a standing ovation.
They would, a standing ovation. He's been absolutely superb, ran himself into the ground. Brilliant performance.
He's been asked to play as an emergency centre forward in this back end of the season because of the issues that Allaire has had. He has responded by becoming the Premier League's top scorer since the restart, and he scored the first of West Ham's trio of goals, which should see them over the line here. That cushion of 2 goals cut down after half-time with a strike from Troy Deeney. West Ham United are going to get the job done. David Moyes' tactics have paid off again tonight. Yarmolenko far side. Infield it goes to Johnson, who hooks it high into the air, brought down by Dawson, back to the goalkeeper. What would have happened if Dawson had scored with the final attempt at the end of the first half? Would this game have been different? What if Watford had just started on the pace rather than so far off it, and their defending hadn't have been so loose in the early part of this fixture? Might have been a very different outcome to this match, but West Ham took full advantage of that, blitzed, prodded themselves in front, and have earned all 3 points here. And they deserve the applause that they're going to get.
Yeah. Oh, they do. And look, they got the 3 goals that their play merited, certainly.
It's 10 points from 15. Right when they needed it most. Here's Mariappa, though, to toss a long ball into the box from the right. A throw-in which is flicked on by Dawson. It tamely squeezes through to Fabianski, and that's the last action of the game. And Mark Noble in the centre of the field looks to the sky. He throws his arms into the air because he knows that in the Premier League's game of high stakes, West Ham have taken the loot, and with it a pot that could be worth £120 million. Officially they will need a point to guarantee safety, but 2 things are in their favour: an uncatchable goal difference and the fact that never before in Premier League history has anyone been relegated with a 6-point cushion and 2 games to go. David Moyes and West Ham United have both of those thanks to a 3-1 victory over Watford at the London Stadium.